The military discovered the world-famous painting, the Mona Lisa, at a civilian outpost. Once testing confirmed it was the original, the captain decisively ordered it to be burned. As flames engulfed the masterpiece, it vanished, marking the dawn of a new order. After humanity endured a nuclear war, survivors became anxious and fearful of another catastrophe. Since human greed inevitably leads to disaster, scientists developed a drug called Prozium. Daily injections suppressed all human emotion. People dressed in plain colors and all art and media were destroyed. Without feelings, society became orderly, but lifeless, as people lost their drive. However, human nature endured. This numb existence was soon opposed by those who secretly hid emotional artifacts. Consequently, these people were labeled emotional criminals. To stop them, special units were formed to hunt rebels without mercy. These hunters, called clerics, trained since childhood. They mastered martial arts, mathematics, physics, and chemistry. Calculations let them easily evade attacks. By combining firearms and martial arts, they could defeat any number of adversaries. They rely on their extraordinary marksmanship to stay invincible. As the leader of the clerics, John mastered these skills to perfection, never showing mercy to rebels. Beneath his cold exterior, he also possessed a keen sense of perception. One day, a casual remark from his partner caught John's attention. Puzzled, he returned to the work area and discovered something suspicious. It turned out his partner hadn't submitted a book as required evidence. Realizing this, John immediately set out to apprehend him. His partner, anticipating this, was already waiting, holding the forbidden book in his hands. Even as John slowly raised his pistol, Uncle Bento still stood his ground. The very next second, in this emotionless world, John had long grown accustomed to it. Ever impartial, he showed no sadness, even when his wife was taken. But influenced by a dream that day, he accidentally dropped a medicine vial. His son saw this. Though John offered a clever explanation, his son still told him to get a replacement. Soon, John arrived at the supply station. However, an attack temporarily closed the station. As John pondered, his new partner Baker arrived. Their new mission was to capture a woman named Ellie. Meanwhile, Ellie, missing her scheduled injection, felt a stir of emotion looking in the mirror. Fortunately, Nick missed her abnormality and had his men smash the wall, finding a large stash of contraband. When the woman learned these items would be burned, in her moment of despair, she resisted. At that critical moment, Nick drew his gun and fired back, but John blocked the shot. Confused by his own instinct, John lied, claiming he was taking her for questioning. During the interrogation, Ellie's questions about humanity left John doubting his own beliefs. Seeking answers, he decided to stop taking his medication at home to prove that a life with emotions was a mistake. But when he tore down the protective covering on his window, the sight of the drizzling rain deeply shocked John. From that moment, he felt certain his decision was the right one. Heading to headquarters, he secretly discarded 2 doses of medication, choosing to feel the world. He even removed his gloves to feel the chill of the world. However, during later missions, watching innocents die, an overwhelming sense of guilt grew stronger within him. Pained, he entered a room filled with contraband. He used this to vent the pain in his heart, but as emotions built up, even meticulous John cracked, covering up with lies again and again. One day, the mission was to kill stray dogs among the rebels. Though John couldn't bear it, he couldn't find an excuse and let Nick give the order. As soldiers fired, John's soul was shaken by the cries of pain. Just then, a puppy ran out. John picked it up, and the fragile life struck a deep chord. The puppy seemed to understand this man could save it. When soldiers asked for the puppy, John lied that he was taking it for inspection, unaware he'd already aroused Nick's suspicion. He later left the dog in a parking lot, hoping it would leave. But no matter how he tried to drive it away, the puppy stayed put and refused to go. Helpless, the man decided to put it back in the trunk. But just then, a patrol appeared behind him, for in this world, pet dogs are not allowed to exist. Seeing the soldiers surrounding him, John, an instructor, didn't need to explain himself to them. But his ID was in the trunk. As they prepared to inspect it, the sergeant recognized John and moved to apologize. Suddenly, a dog barked from inside. Despite John's explanation, the relentless sergeant snatched his keys, unaware of the coming disaster. When they found the puppy in the car, the soldiers immediately pointed their guns at John. But in the very next second, then, distracting the enemy, he dodged bullets, positioned himself, and opened fire. Before backup arrived, John sprinted and leapt forward. Within seconds, all the soldiers were killed. As squad leader, these moves were routine for John. Afterwards, John returned home. Weary of an emotionless life, he hid the unused serum behind the mirror. John's actions drew suspicion from his partner Nick, though Nick had not yet found any evidence. This match reminded John that the night's incident would only accelerate the hunt for the Resistance. Sure enough, within a day, Nick led a team to the Resistance stronghold and began a massive crackdown on those emotional criminals. John could only watch everything unfold before him in pain. Suddenly, someone ambushed him, but he instinctively subdued the attacker, who belonged to a small Resistance squad. John immediately led their escape, but was intercepted by soldiers halfway. He fought back skillfully, neutralizing their attacks with his agile moves. As reinforcements arrived, John let the Resistance members flee first. Before the soldiers could react, he quickly activated the device hidden under his pistol. Very quickly, without firing a single shot, he killed 6 soldiers using only his combat skills. When John found the Resistance members again, they were already captured by Nick. Nick wanted John to personally execute these people and handed him a pistol. John looked at the soldiers, initially wanting to fight back, but at that moment, the members signaled him not to. After thinking for a moment, John had no choice but to return the pistol to Nick. Then, expressionless, he walked out of the room and went to his old partner to confess. Among the belongings, he found a photo of his old partner's wife, who was scheduled to be executed that very day. Upon learning this truth, John became restless and, after a brief struggle, rushed to the execution site. He was determined to save her, even if it meant exposing his true identity. But everything happened too quickly. By the time he arrived, the turbine had started, and she was engulfed in flames. John left filled with deep regret, deciding to finally let his feelings burst forth completely, a scene that was witnessed by Nick. Nick long suspected John of having feelings but lacked solid evidence. Seizing the chance to take John's place, he brought John to the VP, accusing him of killing the patrol squad. But John suddenly declared loyalty to the VP and accused Nick of being the real culprit. Just then, handgun records arrived. The gun in question actually belonged to Nick. John had prepared in advance and swapped their handguns beforehand. And so, Nick was dragged away as a Resistance suspect. Although the immediate crisis had passed, a search team remained at John's house, and he was worried that his remaining drugs would be found. John went to the mirror, and what he saw shocked him. He moved the mirror aside, but the hidden drugs had vanished. At that moment, his son appeared behind him, holding the very drugs he had hidden. Since his wife's death, the child had wanted to preserve his feelings for his mother, so he decided to stop using the drugs. Learning everything, John felt greatly relieved. To save this world, as a teacher, he sought out the Resistance leader. Their hidden base was actually right beneath the plaza. To overthrow the president, they devised an assassination plan. John then called the vice president, claiming he found the base. As planned, the leader was captured. John naturally took the credit for this achievement. He was soon granted an audience with the president, but he didn't expect that an emotional test was required first. Although John tried to stay calm, Nick, who had been executed, suddenly appeared, causing a surge of emotion. It turned out John had fallen into their trap. The president wanted to plant an insider among the Resistance who possessed their emotions but would also obey him completely. This was why, for many years, he never found a suitable candidate. It wasn't until John appeared that he began to lay out his grand scheme. It turned out the vice president had secretly killed and replaced the president. To control humanity, he made John the savior of the Resistance, but now John was their destroyer. Enraged, John pulled a pistol from his sleeve. Before anyone could react, he killed them all and shot the screen. At this moment, his quest for revenge officially began. Walking out, he tossed 2 magazines, gauging soldier positions and trajectories. He fired into the crowd. Every pull of the trigger took a life. His agile body dodged bullets easily. Reloading with the magazines he had thrown out, he continued the assault. Even when empty, quick weapon swaps left no opening, and he swiftly took them all down. Just then, John finally came face to face with the vice president. However, he was blocked by several bodyguards. John gave a wicked smile and instantly snatched an opponent's sword. Not only was John a top shot, but his knife skills were also second to none. In a moment, all the bodyguards fell dead. Faced with this, Nick looked unimpressed. He then drew his own sword to duel with John, but in the very next second, seeing this, the vice president had to step in personally. To everyone's surprise, this seemingly ordinary man also knew gunfighting martial arts. They fought back and forth, evenly matched, with every shot easily deflected. After a long struggle, John finally showed his superior skill, deftly disarming his opponent's pistol. The VP begged for mercy, falsely claiming feelings. John steeled his resolve and pulled the trigger. He then went to the broadcast room and shot and destroyed the equipment, ending the manipulative messages. Signals were received throughout the city, and resistance fighters stormed the building. Driven by emotion, they rose up to resist. In that moment, everyone saw the dawn of hope. This meant that before long, they would return to that vibrant and colorful world.